and welcome back to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. Simona's not here, but we have an Emily! Yay! So we're going to be continuing our series of Would You Watch It? And today's episode is Lewis's pick.
Today we're discussing the cult. It wasn't even a cult phenomenon. It was just a phenomenon of Lost. So we only watched the pilot, which is the first 2 episodes.
Which is funny. It's called Pilot.
That's why it's called. It is funny that it's called Pilot. There's a joke about that.
Yeah, at one point, one of the characters says, it's the pilot. And I was like, I'm sure Damon Lindelof had a nice chuckle to himself right now.
I feel like I can't believe we got away with that.
So, some background on Lost, on the pilot itself. The pilot at the time was the most expensive pilot in television history.
Most of it went to buying the plane.
Yeah. Apparently planes are very expensive.
Very expensive.
J.J. Abrams directed it. J.J. Abrams gets a lot of credit for Lost, but it's really Damon Lindelof's baby. Damon Lindelof took it to where it ended up. J.J. Abrams just kind of started it.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I was reading up on like how it got produced, and like it was originally just like pitched around as like, oh, it's like a Survivor thing, but it's fiction, and it's like, whoa.
But what if it had Jurassic Park vibes? Jurassic Park 2 vibes.
Yeah. It really became like this phenomenon that was. For some, I'm not talking from experience, that, led to insomnia and led to maybe not showering for a week. And
if they're not doing it, I'm not doing
it.
It
really, it inspired obsession.
You had to get into the island headspace.
Get in there, man.
The worst thing about Lost in general is that if you try to find the deeper meaning of it, you can't. Because there is none. Until the end. They do try to tie it together.
They all thought they were good people, but they're all just, in fact,
they're all just
really
kind of pieces.
Yeah. Except for, I haven't learned that much about Jack yet, but he doesn't seem like a...
Well, Jack has a troubled past, has a troubled future, too.
Hurley is an angel.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Hurley's probably the only one doesn't have some kind of darkness with him.
But he did, the Korean guy walked up to him and tried to give him food, and he was like, no,
yeah,
no way,
the
man.
2004 was really showing there. When people, and it's like, oh, sushi's the weird food. Okay,
He's
sure.
He's like, I'm hungry.
I'm not that hungry.
But I'm not that, I'm like, just eat the food.
I'm like, that's a $20 piece of sushi right there.
You're never going to get something fresher than that.
Yeah. So I'll open by saying, I don't know how anybody could watch these first 2 episodes and not want to continue. So, what do you guys think?
So, since we're about the same age, and we are the same age.
Yes.
I think we're all about the same age.
So, growing up in a time in which Lost first came on, I did not watch it because I was into Survivor and other things.
Survivor, huh?
I was a huge Survivor fan.
Survivor's actually kind of entertaining. I'll give it to you.
It was for the first couple seasons,
but
and then
the fact that it's on season 45 or something like that is just
I can't
insane.
do it. It's like, what else can they do? What other island can they explore? They're finding new islands.
You know what they gotta do? They gotta do Survivor New York City or something.
Yeah, that's just the Amazing Race.
That would just be very depressing.
Give them one of those teeny tiny apartments.
I've been working 50 hours a week and I still can't afford rent.
Give them one of those little teeny tiny homes that are the size of a broom closet.
But they give it to them okay, you signed the lease, but now you have to make rent.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, I'm working 5 jobs. Yeah. I don't know how much more I can do. So,
have they brought him to the Outback yet?
Yeah.
They did.
okay.
They did. That was Outback
Okay.
Survivor.
I don't keep up
That's
with
literally the
Survivor,
name of
man.
the season was
Obviously.
Survivor Outback.
I think that was one of the earlier ones.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I used to watch it too, but like I stopped many, many years ago, but I remember that coming out.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That was 2001.
But this show has some Australia going on in it.
Yes, it does. Crikey.
That wasn't
That was not good.
accent.
That was about as bad an Australian accent as you could get.
Yeah.
I tried, though.
Yeah.
Was it Australian?
The plane was going from Australia to LA, right?
Yeah.
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 A lot of different people in Australia going
And that's kind of the whole point of the show, right?
Yeah, well, it makes sense that there would be a lot of different people coming from Australia. It makes less sense that there's not more Australians on the plane.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the show, I mean, you know, the whole trajectory of the show is telling you how these people ended up where they ended up and why they were there and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And it all seems somewhat reasonable and plausible. You know, when and we were talking about names the other day and how the writers just didn't even try. Jack's father, who you haven't met yet, is named Christian Shepherd.
I did know that.
Yeah.
That rules.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And that's actually why Jack is in Australia, which you'll find out, I think in episode 5.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, John Locke, named after
Yeah.
just direct ripoff of
Yeah.
a real man, John Locke.
Yeah. Yeah, Desmond
Amazing.
Hume, who you don't meet yet.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
James Ford.
Just adding to kind of what you both were saying, I watched this show when it first came out. I think I was like 12 when it first came out, and I loved it. I was obsessed with it. I was one of the people that the episode would end, and I couldn't wait the week for it to come out again. And actually, I think one of the reasons I stopped watching it is because when they changed the season structure and they started airing in January, a year and a half was just too long for me I lost interest. And watching it last night, I was like, yeah, this show does a good job of introducing a lot of characters, pointing out which ones are the like main characters that you're going to learn a lot about, and trying to get you to want to learn more about how they ended up here, not just the plane, but also what their lives were beforehand and what's going on the island.
Yeah.
So.
I was saying to Lewis, I think my favorite part that the way they introduce characters is that every time they show you the character they're like focusing on, they're always like, or
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to like
looking
look off camera,
Exactly.
and then you'll notice actually we talked about the music before the show also. You'll notice that whenever there's a flashback about to happen, they'll do that look off camera, and then then the music will go like, and then it'll like cut to the flashback, because the audience would not know without audio cues like that.
I also did not grow up watching the show like Amanda. I was watching other things. So watching last night, yeah, cartoons. Well, no, I think Bones had aired at that point, so I was watching that instead of Lost. But
Never got into Bones.
it's
All
very
I know
good.
is that there's a scene where Stewie from Family Guy shows up and he's like, "Hello, Bones."
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Like as a cartoon?
Yeah.
They're really trying to
I'm pretty
stretch
sure
it.
someone was hallucinating. Like they were either very ill or
Yeah.
because
I don't remember that episode.
yeah.
What's
I guess Stewie was
I'm pretty
popular
sure
at the
yeah,
time,
because
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Angel's character. What's his
Oh,
name?
okay, Booth.
Booth. I'm pretty sure
Silly
he's
Booth.
very sick, or he might have been stabbed recently because I know that happens in the
yeah.
show a lot too.
Yeah, because he's the
People
FBI
Kids getting
agent.
stabbed.
You ever watch
He's the FBI agent in that show
I've
You
watched like little bits as like a bedtime
thing.
thing. I have no investment. Just they're talking, so put them on the background.
I mean, yeah,
I was watching CSI. That's what I was watching. The original CSI.
it's a good one too.
Yeah, and then Grissom left, and then I was upset, and I didn't watch anymore.
But when I was watching these the first two episodes, I was like, oh, I know where you're from. I know where you're from. I saw Daniel Day Kim's character come out of the plane. I'm like, I love you from Hawaii Five-0. And then I looked at his character and I was like, oh, you're mean. You're a that to your wife? What's wrong with you? And so if I was going to continue watching, it would be more of like for the nostalgia rather than for the story of it all.
So
I'm younger. When West was airing, I was probably in like elementary school, and so
What is Lost?
like I just my concept of it was like, oh, they're trying to survive on an island, sure, okay. And then I remembered seeing ads where they were like, we have to go back, and I was like, why would they?
You
have
just
to go back
left.
to
Why
the
do you
island?
have to go back?
The weird sci-fi mystery stuff was not apparent to me at the
It
time.
went over your head.
And then in college, some of my friends were really into it, and I was like, okay, this show actually sounds kind of sick, but I just never checked it out for whatever reason. But these first 2 episodes were bangers. Oh my god, it's just really tight, like TV, like so many characters off the bat, and they handle them well. Like they introduce them.
It's very hard for. I think I've said this in the past too. It's like. It's really hard when you have such a huge cast to be able to give time
Yeah.
to everybody. I think it might be easier with a show because you have multiple episodes in a season to get acquainted with.
But even in just these first 2, it's like, wow, okay, the characters I know a little bit about already. I like. Jack's a little so far, but like
Jack's
I'm
a
sure
hero,
he'll get there.
and I'm already over it. I don't like hero complexes. But he might not have one, but that's what I'm getting
No,
in
he
the
does.
first couple. I hate
does.
hero complexes. They're the downfall of every character that has one.
he falls pretty far.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then
so
I
that
will
I'm
look
more
forward to
intrigued
watching
by
more of the
than-
show to watch his inevitable
Demise.
But yeah, and just like,
Self-righteous.
I mean, the show is really well shot too, in a way where I was like, wow, okay, this is
Well-
doing interesting stuff for 2004 TV.
I don't know. I would disagree a little bit because when Jack gets up from being unconscious and he's running back towards the crash and the camera is moving this way and that, I got nauseous.
I like
I
shaky
got
cam, so
sick, and
that,
I
As long as
did
shaky
not
cameras
like
are done
it.
well, I don't mind them. Like a good, well-placed shaky camera
Yeah,
that understand like tension and like rigid, like making something like rigid, I think really works in certain favors. I think it's supposed to make you feel a little
yeah.
nauseous because after being unconscious and falling out of the sky, you also might feel a little disoriented and
True.
nauseous.
True,
Immersive
but-
entertainment, Katie.
It wasn't immersive for me. It kind of like just took me out of what
There was
going
one girl
on.
too in the background. I think it was the there's 2 blonde chicks. I don't know.
One's pregnant, one's not.
The not pregnant
Shannon.
one.
Shannon.
Shannon was like standing there, just screaming,
Yeah.
and I'm like, shh.
And she constantly
She just stood
insists
there
that-
though. She didn't move. She just stood there with her hands on her side, just
That's
screaming.
kind of
like that's,
a good introduction to her character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
she's dead.
Yeah.
I saw her sunbathing, and I automatically knew. I was just like, so I see what character they gave you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They're
I
gonna
immediately
kill you
did not
soon. I
like
hope.
her.
But yeah,
She's the sacrifice.
I think it's really good. I think it teases out a lot of good mysteries that,
Yeah.
that make you want to keep watching. I definitely do want to finish this at some point. Probably not soon, in the middle of Better Call Saul, but
Yeah,
I will
same.
say some of the it is very strongly 2004.
Yes.
You can tell this is from the Bush era, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And too, like it makes like you can tell it's trying to be like, okay, we're trying to assemble like a diverse cast and a lot of people from like different backgrounds and stuff, but like then it's just like Daniel Day Kim's character is sort of just like a nasty stereotype, and then
Yeah.
like Saeed is like, oh,
Well-
what if there was a cool guy but he fought for Iraq? And it's just
Well, I mean,
He's
just,
like, try border
just the
patrol.
sheer fact that I think the character's name is Sawyer has an issue with Saeed and calls him a terrorist in like the
Yeah.
second half. I'm like, oh, we're gonna do that now, are we?
Though everyone is mad at him for that.
No,
people
I
are
know.
just like, Sawyer, you need to calm down.
Yeah.
Your racism
But
is
it's
showing.
just like it's from that era though. It's like 4 years after 9/11,
Yeah.
and we're gonna throw out that stereotype.
Yeah.
So
Gotta
Definitely
give everybody a character.
better than like 24, but like,
Yeah.
you know, it's still some.
yeah.
So, you know, I think rewatching it, because I've seen it so many times. So I watched it when I watched it. I watched it like probably my junior year of college, showing it to people that hadn't seen it. Then I watched it again my senior year of college, showing it to people that hadn't seen it. Or I might have those years wrong, but so I've seen it about 3 times. And this time, I was one of the things that really stuck out to me, and I had just watched that Free Solo documentary about the guy with the rock climbing.
Yeah, who climbed, what was it, El Capitan Mountain in Yosemite?
And the part where they're like, I think it's after he shoots the polar bear, or it might be right before.
I love that
But they're
reveal.
climbing up that thing, and I was like, that doesn't look stable.
It's not.
Like they're and like those branches are in like perfect positions and everything like that.
I'm amazed that Shannon made it up to the top in flip-flops. She wasn't even wearing proper shoes for that climb.
To be fair, I've gone hiking with flip-flops because I was
Climbing
like
up a
if it's
mountain
hot,
like that, though?
but not a mountain. I've gone hiking with flip-flops,
Yeah.
not mountain climbing
That
with
was,
flip-flops.
like-
That's a bit harder.
They were saying, "Oh, we're going for a hike." That's not a hike.
No.
That is like, that's.
Well, it looks like the one girl got the boots.
Yeah, that was the other thing. They made a big deal about Kate walking into the forest with, I don't know what she was wearing, but and taking the boots off someone else.
Yeah.
But this girl gets to go climb up the side of a mountain in flip-flops.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the sacrifice.
Another issue that I had is everyone is very no one had any serious injuries except for the one guy who had fatal injuries.
Yeah.
And obviously the people that died, R.I.P. But Locke with the cut down his face just misses his eye. We talked about Jack's cut, and it was just like so perfectly.
Yeah,
Like-
it
Or
just looks like
having-
someone just took some lipstick and went.
Yeah.
Or having Kate stitch up his side.
Yeah, well, that's believable. I mean,
He was going for a long time with that wound.
Yeah.
If he needed to stitch that up, he
Adrenaline?
took. First off, the blood didn't bleed out of his jacket. It didn't look like that much. But as soon as he took the jacket off, you're like, oh no,
that's a cut.
That's a.
I was informed
That is a wound.
we do get to hear the song Charlie keeps singing. At
Oh
some
yeah,
point.
you all, everybody. Yeah, it's too many times probably.
Oh,
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
In this episode, if this was the only bite, it's like the most lazy way to write in a fake song into a script. It's like just pick 3 random words.
I mean, I like the whole thing about trying to find help, trying to get a signal from the high tech walkie-talkie, and I was fine with that, and I was okay with that. But then the instant they bring in the polar bear, and I knew that this was going to be like a whole take on sci-fi. It's like, why?
Now,
Why?
see, that's what intrigues me.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, why does there have to be like a sci-fi or a supernatural element to surviving on an island? Why can't it just be about them surviving?
Well, that's
an
the show.
island?
I mean, that's.
I think
yeah,
it
that's
makes
the
it
show.
more.
You can watch Castaway.
Yeah.
Well, I would also say it gives them a vehicle through which that they can
do more.
make it so that no one can find them. Because by
Okay.
introducing sci-fi elements, they can say, well, no one's ever going to find them because of there's sci-fi stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like
That's
if it's
true.
just a
like
regular
the Bermuda
island.
Triangle kind of deal. It's like no one knows, no one sees. It's mysterious.
Yeah.
There'd also be less danger in the danger that was introduced is like the monster elements in the island. So
Yeah, I know it's probably the smoke monster, but everything shaking the first night, I was like, ooh.
I just really wanted to see what it was, and what really got me, I laughed a bit.
You'll see it
They're
soon.
like, "Where's the pie?" They're like, looking. The woman went back for Jack after Charlie got his leg caught.
Kate.
First off, I love that Mary
Yeah.
is in this.
Yeah.
I knew he was in it, and I was so excited for the show just to watch him. I was like, my boys. And she goes back for him, and she's like, oh no, I can't find him. And she looks in the water, and she looks up, and there's a body in the tree. First off, he's so perfectly placed in that tree, and those branches look very thin. And the fact that they had to be like,
It was a cool shot. Though. I was
Yeah,
like,
it was.
ooh.
Smoke Monster is very meticulous. Clearly, he was like, yes.
Yeah.
yes.
I love
And the polar bear reveal.
the signal they find.
Oh yeah.
It's just been repeating for
16
yeah.
years.
See,
Yeah.
now
And-
that was intriguing and that was exciting.
It's
So it's
X-Files
like, why
episode.
can't they lean? I don't know.
Well, they're gonna.
Well, clearly they
Oh,
are,
yeah.
but it's like,
But yeah,
They're
You
setting
find-
up pieces.
You
for-
find out who did. You find out who sent that out. You get her whole backstory, and everything.
but yeah, and
They have a lot of episodes to play with. So.
it's just like they're playing off like the numbers station thing, and like I just find those so fascinating.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's one of my favorite Twilight Zone. Not Twilight. X-Files episodes is the Number Station one. That's a good episode.
I haven't seen. I've seen
Oh.
very little X-Files.
I think that's season 2 or 3.
I tried to get into it at one point, and I got through a couple episodes in season 1. I was like, this feels more like a cop procedural than I was expecting. I wanted
It
more spooky
does.
stuff.
And then they had like throw some like weird horror episodes with a gooey guy.
Yeah,
getting
it's like
through things, and you're like, what is going?
I just want that. I want Mulder and Scully fighting ghosts.
Yeah.
I was also surprised to see Harold. I can't pronounce his Perrineau. He plays Michael, the father who can't keep a hold of his son.
On the
Um,
Wikipedia page, they have a picture of him, and they just say he plays Michael, a father.
oh,
Is-
And
I'm,
it's
on
just
the
like,
Wikipedia-
wow.
I'm on the Lostpedia just to get like pictures and names, but
Yeah. Michael goes through some stuff.
I like the touch of the kid reading a comic book with a polar bear on the
Is that
cover right before.
Can you read Spanish? No.
I found it.
Well, the only thing I know this guy to be in was in like Romeo and Juliet because he played Mercutio
That's right.
in the
Oh.
Boz
Where I
Luhrmann.
recognize
And
I didn't
he's-
realize that.
He's one of my favorite renditions of the character. So when I saw him, I was like, I know you. You wore a white wig and danced on those steps. I was like, I liked you. So it's nice to see him
doing more work.
doing something after
Yeah.
that because for a while I wonder what he's in, but I didn't really recognize anything else that he was in.
I'm
So
so intrigued by John Locke.
As you should.
freaked
Immediately,
out.
he's just like, dude has ascended into Nirvana. He's doing the Vito Corleone orange bit.
is that what that is? Because as soon as they went to like the woman looking at him, he was just like with the orange. I was like, dude, stop.
Yeah,
I was
there's-
like, what the? Where
there's
did you
a-
get that orange?
There's a scene in The Godfather where the Don does that, and he's like chasing around his grandson. He's like, "Oh, I'm a monster," and then he dies of a heart attack.
Yeah, I remember that.
Foreshadowing.
And then he's just teaching the kid backgammon. And he's just
Yeah.
like, it's the
And then
I
oldest
like that they
thing in the
avoided the color of the discs because it's like he's in front of this kid and he's like, there's two opposing factors. I was like, please don't be racist about this. And
He
he was
does
like,
say one's light and one's dark.
One's
Yeah.
light and one's the darkness. And I was like, okay. All right, here we go. I'm like, okay, that's better. Because I thought the way he was speaking, I was like, don't go there.
No, John
Please
Locke
don't go there.
seems like a good man.
He freaks me out.
I'm excited for whatever he entails.
He freaks me out.
And I think that's
He's
what
given
he's
a
supposed
killer
to.
I think he's
performance,
supposed
too.
to.
Yeah, he's
I think
supposed
he
to.
definitely knows
Yeah.
what's up already. He's like, it's cool, it's whatever. I'll just make whatever of my time here.
So, episode 4 is the John Locke episode, the first John Locke episode, and you find out some pretty crazy stuff about him. So yeah, I would at least watch that far if I were you guys. And it answers some questions about. Well, it doesn't answer any questions. No episode of Lost answers any questions, but it raises more questions about the island. Yeah.
You gotta give the one boring episode to at least explain something.
No, just give me wild things. That's really all I want out of TV, if I'm being honest.
Well, now I know there's no answer.
Like, hey,
There's-
I mean,
should just named it questions.
kind of loves that. Like, I loved a lot of Watchmen. The last 2 episodes I thought really fumbled it hard, but did you like the ending?
I didn't see the TV show because
okay.
I really like Watchmen.
There's a
So-
lot of great stuff in the TV show. I think the ending completely misses the point, but
really
there's
upsetting.
still a lot of really cool stuff in there. It's well worth a watch.
I'll definitely watch it. It's definitely been on my list for a while. I heard mixed reviews, so I was like, I don't know if
Everything with Ozymandias in like the first 6
we love
episodes
this man.
is so good. Jeremy Irons destroys it.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Jeremy Irons?
Yes.
See, I only knew
Yeah,
about the
he's
show.
an
I
old
didn't know
man
who was
in
in
it, and
I love Jeremy Irons.
but yeah, no, there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and so many like weird questions and world building. And then I just thought the ending was sort of like, oh, okay.
So
I will say with Lost, so the ending. A lot of people have issues with the ending. I will say that you can't grasp the ending without watching it, without watching the whole thing. So like if I were to sit here and to explain the ending, everyone would think it's stupid.
I think it got spoiled, and I thought it was stupid.
They are not in purgatory. I know that much.
Aww, that's what everyone told
That's what
me.
No, they're
everyone
not.
says, that they're in purgatory, and the church scene is like them meeting all the characters who had died on the island again.
They
or
are
at
not
some
in
point.
purgatory.
Nobody.
Then what are they in?
I don't know, but I know the creators
I guess
have
I have to watch the
explicitly
show
said
now.
they are not in purgatory. Please stop saying that.
Yeah. And I think that's.
Are they
so,
mixing up Purgatory with Limbo?
Lindelof and Carlton Cuse had come out before season 6 and were like, they're not in hell, they're not in purgatory or anything like that. And then there's a Richard Alpert episode in season 6, which is a great episode. You guys don't know who Richard Alpert is yet, but you will find out. And he goes, do you want to know what this place is? It's hell. You're in hell. And Lost people blew their gaskets. And they were like, for years you've been telling us it's not hell. And now you have probably the character that knows the most about this place telling us that it's hell. It turns out it's still not hell.
So that answer that we got is
Was
wrong.
nothing. Exactly.
Misleading me.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in
Yeah.
mind every time someone gives an answer, and it's like,
Does-
you're just lying.
Does the dog come back?
The dog lives the whole time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to
The
hear
dog
that.
figured it
Yeah.
out.
I really thought when Sawyer was shooting the polar bear, he was
It's
it
the
was just gonna cut to the dog
That's
riddled
what
with
I
bullets,
thought.
and I was like,
That's what I thought.
I did like the over dramaticness of that scene, though. It's like, that's a big bear, and then the woman goes,
That's not a bear.
that's not a bear, that's a polar bear.
yeah, I was kind of mad when she said that.
And
I
then
was
you
like, I
look
could
down
tell.
and it's like,
I was like, that's such a douchey thing to say. Don't say that.
It's like in case the viewers weren't aware, but at the same time, it's like all
Polar
they gave
bears
was
are
like
white.
a furry lump. That is inaccurate.
Is it?
Their fur is
Oh my
white.
God.
Get it right, Lou.
Us.
Underneath, they're ugly.
I do like that. I like when he's like, when they're all questioning him about the gun, and he's like, I brought it just in case we needed it. And guess what? I shot a bear.
I love that. I was like, oh, be proud of yourself. You save people. But you're not nice.
He gets a little better too.
I got
Yeah.
I got heavy Jurassic Park 2 vibes because the first scene they show is a guy running around like behind like some shrubbery to scream or something. And I was like, that is the exact scene of when the little girl in Jurassic Park 2 gets eaten.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think she got eaten. She just got
She got
hurt.
eaten. Oh no, she got eaten.
No, she got hurt.
Oh, she got eated. They don't tell you, but she got eated.
I'm not sure I remember the beginning of Jurassic Park 2 enough.
It's a couple on a beach, a rich couple on a beach, and the child goes far out, and then she meets the
And the
little
little
compies,
things, yeah.
and she's like, oh, I'm going to feed you my sandwich. And then they go nom nom on her. And then the
Never
mom comes back, she
feed the
screams, and then she
dinosaurs.
turns into Malcolm.
Amazing.
So, but when I saw that scene, I was like, this is just Jurassic
I-
Park 2 on a
I-
mystery island.
I like that about once a decade, Steven Spielberg just makes the meanest movie ever. 80s had Temple of Doom, 90s have Jurassic Park 2.
And then the plane scene, like, I thought it was really funny that the pilot got, like, whoop,
Yeah.
like,
Well, I knew
and they're
that
like, what's
was
going on? And I was like, Jurassic Park 3,
I-
for the plane scene. And then she's like,
It's like I knew that was going to happen too the instant he started sticking his head out of the window.
Like,
It's
don't
like,
do it.
why?
Why you do that? Yeah.
Why?
So I will say,
Don't stick your head out of
Lost
planes.
was a show that I think got a little too ambitious. It starts introducing things that it started cashing checks that it couldn't write. Is that the expression?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writing
Right.
checks.
Writing checks it couldn't
Yeah.
cash. Yeah.
There
Nice.
you go. I was like,
So they got very ambitious. They couldn't answer a lot of the questions towards the end. Some things they just abandoned. You asked, why is there a polar bear? That's a great question. We never find out.
it just happened to be there.
After season 3, the ABC wanted this show to run as long as it could.
They're milking
Lindelof
it.
and Hughes went to ABC and they said, we need to have like an end date so that they could try to pull things together. So they said 6 seasons, and it does get more focused, but because they built such a world, it was like they had a tough time pulling things together. I will say, season 4 benefits because that was when the writer's strike happened, and the seasons start to get shorter. So they benefit from that. But season 3, there is just, you could tell that they were just running out of stuff to talk about. There is an episode about the origins of Jack's tattoos.
Yeah,
It
I
is-
was, I was
Are they
watching
really
with some
significant?
friends, and as soon as you saw his tattoo, one of them was just like, "Don't you
He has
wonder how he
tattoos."
got those?"
Oh my god.
Like pulling a. Oh no.
What were your thoughts of like the side, the side flashes?
The flashbacks are the best part of the show.
Right,
Yeah.
but like the flash forwards and the flash sideways.
Oh, you know about all that?
Yes, I know all about that.
Oh.
I was around when
She knows
the.
more.
All right.
I was,
So I'm glad you asked that because that's where I was going actually.
okay.
The season 3 finale, and I was telling this to Emily and Joe, is, I would argue, the greatest finale in television history.
Despite the season where they have to.
Yeah,
explain
because
his
they
tattoos.
really started. It was like that was when they got their focus. Was at the end of that season. There's a Charlie episode right before the finale, and then the finale, and those 2 episodes. And I think the finale is a 2-parter. So really, those 3 episodes are probably peak Lost, like as good as it gets. And that's when they switch to the flash forwards, and it's such a simple thing. But you watch this show for 60-something episodes where they're doing all these flashbacks, and again, flashbacks to tattoo origin stories, and you're like, and also flashbacks to characters that really don't matter.
So flash forwards, does that mean they're time skipping?
Yeah, so
So they're showing you future stuff.
Yes.
yeah, because some of them get off the island, some of them don't. Yeah, some of them are still there.
Oh,
So they're
God.
showing you stuff that's happening on the island still, and stuff that's happening off the island.
Oh, that makes more sense. So
Yeah.
it's like not real time. They're just showing you what's on the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the whole season 3 finale, you think that Jack again has this downfall, where he gets divorced and he becomes an alcoholic. Actually, he might not become an alcoholic. He might become a drug addict. He might start popping pills, right?
He's gonna
I
nurse
don't
Jackie
remember.
then.
I remember the alcohol.
Yeah.
But also
Throwback.
because in the pilot even there's signs that like alcohol might be an issue for this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure his father was an alcoholic because you find out his father
Mm-hmm.
was doing surgery drunk, and that's how his father got
Yeah.
disbarred. No.
Not if he's a doctor, he doesn't.
Yeah,
Unless he's
what
a
is-
lawyer, that's
what-
disbarred.
What is it?
His medical license was revoked.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, malpractice.
And because of Jack was the one that
Oh.
ratted him out. But
What's that hero complex now?
yeah. So
Vanished.
so you think that you're just seeing another flashback of Jack, just Jack's downfall, and then at the end of the episode, Kate comes out, and he's like, "We have to go back," and it's just like it's
No.
such an epic moment.
He was a hero there.
Because they left people behind. You find out in season 4 how that
Just
happened.
leave him.
Yeah.
Just leave him. Survival instinct
Well,
should just kick in.
And
Don't
there's
just
a lot of
leave
stuff.
him.
I mean, there's this. You see, Desmond Hume is the best character in the show, and then John Locke finds this hatch in the ground, and he's banging on the hatch, trying to get into it, and then I think it's season 1, episode 19. Yeah, I know it. The light turns on, and you're just like, oh my god, there's something in there. It really is just like such epic moments. Really, and I spoiled this show for anyone who hasn't seen it all.
It's okay.
Desmond says a line that I've only gotten to say once in my life. He says, "I'll see you in another life, brother," and I've only gotten to say that once in my life. I hope to be able to say it again. Such a great line, but he says it a lot. It's good stuff.
I look forward to watching how Charlie tries to find drugs on the island. Again,
What
I
was-
loved his backstory so much. He was just jonesing.
Yeah.
And then they were like, they caught him jonesing, and then the plane went down. And I'm like, oh no, his drugs. And he put it in the toilet, and he didn't flush. And I'm like, oh, the drugs are on the plane. Because as soon as, like, they made him so serious, like, when he's thinking about it. You're right. They do, like, the weird faces when they do a flashback. He looks so serious. And I'm like, oh, now we know what's going on. He needs a fix. He needs some of them alien mushrooms, whatever's growing on here. You'll find something.
Charlie's story arc is really one of the best.
I love that man.
And he's a very big part of the season 3 finale.
There were some bad haircuts on the guys in the show. Sawyer, what was going on?
Yeah.
He looks like Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
What's the point? Same haircut from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen that they gave the Tom Sawyer character in that one too.
Interesting.
The pregnant woman.
Yeah, Claire.
I wanna go back to her. I thought
Are
it
you
was
wondering
weird
why she's flying 8 months pregnant?
And eating raw fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
because there's nothing else to eat, Joe. But it revived the baby somehow. Because that baby was definitely.
Dead.
Yeah, I mean, people were
Dead.
literally falling on top of her stomach.
Well, no,
And she's
besides the
huge.
fact that she was thrown forward and landed hard on the ground after that explosion, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, no, it's...
I love that she was just sitting there too when the guy was passing out the sushi, and she just she found like the cushions of the seats, and she just sat there like it's a couch, and I'm like, oh, someone dug that up. I'm like, that's such a good use of furniture. That's such a good use. But I also loved this scene between Sawyer and I think when you first meet them, it was Sawyer and Saeed on the beach, and they're just kicking the snot out of each other. But my favorite move was he just threw sand at him. I was like, pocket sand. It's the only thing that came into my mind when watching it was the King of the Hill and pocket sand. I was like, good use of, good, yes. Dirty tactics. I'm a fan.
There's a lot of infighting at the beginning of the show.
I thought they were
Amen.
fighting for dominance and who was going to be the leader. I thought they were going to, like, Lord of the Flies this whole thing, and that they were like, I'm the leader. And then Jack was going to be coming like, no. And then, like, he's a nice guy. He's the leader. And I was like, please don't.
Yeah, he gives this
No,
speech
it's
in one of the
different.
episodes where he's like, live together, die alone. And they're like,
That's kind of depressing.
yeah. He's like, if we don't learn to live together, we're going to die alone. And then they say that
In
throughout
our
the show, and it's
heart.
kind of annoying.
I
I
hate
don't like
that.
when they get all like
I'm going to get you a shirt.
cheesy like that. Like, it's a little,
You're getting a
like they're
shirt.
trying too hard to be deep,
Yeah.
and it just comes off as cheese.
They're like, this sounds really cool and this sounds really edgy.
Like the 5-second thing, I can't stand that.
5-second thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
when
the
he's
fear.
like, man, you know, I almost killed a woman. And
Surgery.
all I did was count to 5, and I was fine.
He let the fear in for 5 seconds, and then after 5 seconds, he put that fear away.
I also thought it's kind of like an inappropriate example. Like,
Yeah.
this moment is not about you. This person's going to die. Like,
True, it's always about him.
it's like maybe something where you are in danger. You're not in danger in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, no.
Also, Hurley being super relatable during the scene
love
when he
Hurley.
had to like help Jack with the shrapnel inside the guy, and he's like, all I need you to do is hold him down. If
He's
he
like,
like
"I'm not
wakes
so good with
up,
blood."
he's like, I don't. He's like, don't even look at it, and then he just fainted, and I was just like, oh, and the guy was like, oh no, oh god, oh no, and I was like, that's a good reaction. That's being relatable for like 5 seconds instead of being brave and biting his tongue. He just conked out, being a nuisance.
Come to find out, the guy with the shrapnel in his side
That-
is the marshal.
That alone would have you know, was that the marshal? I thought that was the guy, like, because they flashbacked, I guess, on Kate's character at the very end.
Yeah,
that's the
part
Marshall.
two.
She's the
She's
Oh,
Yeah,
I
she's
didn't
in-
catch that.
She's in handcuffs.
I didn't see the handcuffs. I'm blind.
Do you do other things while you watch the show?
Not always. I think like Brian. I was watching it really late, and
Amanda,
Brian contacted
he was
me.
offering you an out, and you denied it.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I think I got a phone. I was like, hold on, let me pause it. And
Remember
I think
when
it
she
is.
took the drink and her hands?
Oh,
were,
I did. Oh.
You know, like.
I'm dumb. I did watch it. But I think I was getting real tired towards the end, and I was like, I just really gotta go to bed.
And then doesn't the marshal like come to and he's like, where is she?
Yeah.
That makes more sense. I was like, man, this is gonna keep me coming back. What's their relation? Now I know. I'm dumb. I'm sorry. How did she get? Did she like do the wrist thing?
No, she grabbed the key out of the guy's pocket
They show
while
that
the
too.
plane was going down.
I need to go back. I'm sorry. Just those last couple scenes. I watched like everything, and I think during that last bit, I was like, this is gonna keep me coming back.
Did you see the part where the plane crashed?
Yes.
All right.
I did.
Just making sure.
I watched as people floated up into the. That made me laugh too. It's like, who had their seatbelt off?
Well, that's basically when she takes the handcuffs off. Like,
Yeah.
that's
I
that
think
scene.
that I was really like, I think I was laughing at how they did with people flying up right on the thing. I think maybe that like got me off guard.
Tail end.
They were like a bit like,
ripped
off.
off.
He just
Interesting.
flew right up in the. I was waiting on the first part though for someone to get thrown into the turbine.
Yeah.
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 I was
that
like, they
does
were getting
happen.
so close to it, and I was like, please, 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 please. I'm like, someone gets sucked into the turbine, and I'm like,
Someone does.
someone finally did, but like the first time they show the turbine sucking things, I'm like, oh, someone's gonna get sucked into the turbine, and then it didn't happen because Jack was so close to it, and I'm like, oh, here we go, and it didn't happen. I was like, oh, that's so upsetting, and then someone did.
Because of
finally.
course it happened to a character we don't care about.
It just made it explode. I'm gonna say this also was a little racy. The first episode, a girl was literally like just taking all her clothes off and.
I mean, when Kate was taking a bath in the water.
Yeah, but still, I think for like this was on like public.
Yeah.
Tell more of that.
ABC.
I don't know. It's during.
I think Grey's Anatomy was on air.
I
at this
wasn't watching
point.
Grey's
I don't
Anatomy.
really think that was pushing too many boundaries.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy.
I think Grey's Anatomy was on a little later.
Oh, okay.
It was on at 9, I think, and I think this was on at 8.
I still feel like there were some
Her underwear choices.
horny doctor shows on TV at that time.
Oh yeah,
you
no,
know, like-
I don't think that phased.
House
tried
was
to
on
put-
at that time too.
House is, I would say, pretty controversial as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not racy.
No,
but
yeah,
definitely
but
controversial.
yeah.
Not racy, but I think they tried to make like doctors' dramas a little more
Intense.
interesting. You already had House, which was like, oh, here's some really weird ethical dilemmas. Now we just don't need those. What can we do?
So now the ethical
Drama.
dilemmas are that all of your doctors are dating each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what they do
And-
on their breaks? They have sex in their break room.
Yeah.
Your level of care depends on how they're feeling that day.
Yeah.
From what I understand,
You might die.
it's not inaccurate.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, hospitals are sort of notorious for that.
Oh,
Wow.
Well,
boy.
when you spend most of your time in a
There for a
hospital,
long time, yeah.
That's true.
you
Yeah.
sleep,
Yeah.
you
The whole
eat
day.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Scrubs top.
ER was 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to watch that. I
Me
know
too,
It's got
actually.
Clooney. It's got Linda Cardinelli. It's like
My mom watched it.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
ER.
Oh.
I don't do well with like doctor shows or anything like that, or I didn't. And there was one time where I stayed up because my mom had to go pick up my sister from some Girl Scout thing, and so I stayed up and she was watching ER and I watched it. And I don't know what happened, but they were like operating on somebody, and I just projectile vomited all over the place.
No.
amazing.
And my mom was like, "Well, I guess you're not going to be a doctor."
Surprised when she came home.
That's what would always get me, because like they seem like tailor made for like moms, and then there'd just be the nastiest surgery scenes imaginable.
They're
And you'd be
trying
like,
to make it like realistic.
Yeah.
And And I think that's what Grey's Anatomy was known for, was like the realistic surgeries at the time.
Mm.
But I think House
It's
did
still
it
going.
better.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I thought they ended
never-
it, but now it's a new.
I think
one.
I think at some point the main character entered a coma because she didn't really want to film it anymore. And
Yeah, I wouldn't blame
That's a good
her.
out. That's a good out. We can bring her back if we want to.
Yeah.
I get those shows have their place.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Chicago Med is actually kind of entertaining. I watched like 6 episodes of that.
I just reject the Chicago shows based on you cannot expect anyone to sit down and watch 3 hours of this.
I also don't understand why they're all Chicago. Like, what's with Chicago?
because
Yeah.
they're all interconnected.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, characters
Oh.
cross over all the time.
Yeah, they
Why
do
Chicago?
have crossover.
Well,
is
they do
actually
it with
in
Law and Order now
New
too.
York.
There's
Oh,
3
do
of them
they really?
going,
Oh,
and
jeez.
they all air same night, and they have crossovers.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Boy.
Because now,
Extended
Olivia
universe.
Benson's on a different show than Stabler. So they need a crossover so they can look at each other longingly and say, Elliot, live.
Extended universe.
So, final thoughts. I will say, Lost is entertaining. It's addicting.
There's too many mysteries.
It's very good. I wouldn't put it in the upper echelon of great shows. Like when I think of great shows, I think of The Sopranos. I think of Breaking Bad. I think of Mad Men. I don't put it in that tier.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as a show that was a hook, Lost was second to none. And I don't know how anyone could watch these first 2 episodes and not want to know who that French woman on the transmission is and keep watching.
What is she saying?
No.
Yeah,
You studied French. you
I
went to
sort of was
France.
getting on my nerves in that scene. He just kept screaming at her when she was trying to listen. And I was like, shut up!
To be fair, that seems to
Give
be
her
their
a minute.
dynamic, is that he tells her something useful, and then she's like, shut up! Like, on the beach, she's sunbathing, and he's like, well, we're going through the clothes right now. Do you want to get your luggage? Do your fair share of the work? And she's like, not really.
But
And
she's
I'm
like,
I
no,
feel
they're
that-
coming to get me.
That's a mood.
Yeah. I was
Not-
already annoyed with her.
I think it was a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Like, she's not my favorite character, but I'll give her some credit that
It-
it's a traumatic thing.
I
You
did
can
agree with
definitely
her
feel-
speech there. She's like, I had a traumatic experience. I'm like, she did.
You can definitely feel like, this is just like clearly a reaction against like Paris Hilton at the time.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just kind of like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it's a little goofy. It's just like, come on, like,
Yeah.
Shannon's not hurting anybody. She's
Pretty.
What?
She's pretty.
She's a brat, is what she is.
She's a pretty brat.
Yeah.
So I'll be. I would definitely give it a shot. There are definitely more relationships I'd like to know more about. I know that the Korean couple,
Are the
or
best.
whoever, I don't
They
know much
really
other
are.
than he's kind of possessive.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, she had one button down on her shirt, not showing anything. He was like, putting that up. And she was like, I'm like, it's really hot on that island. Let her take the jacket off.
They become the best couple, and they are like, at the end they are. Is it
Best as in, like,
people
they're
still
just
say
really
couple
good
goals? Is that a
characters
thing?
on their
Yeah,
own,
they
or
say couple
together
goals.
they're really good? Because you're saying they're the best couple, and I'm like, so far he's.
That's why I said, yeah.
Does he
in the-
learn to get nicer? Does he
Yes.
tone that down?
Yeah.
Okay. Which I have no problem with if it's like well written, like,
It
you know,
is.
good outcomes. But
Yeah, they do a good job with them up until the end.
I look forward to seeing the father and his son potentially bond, or the kid's just gonna rebel the entire time. He's gonna F you, Dad. I'm out of here. I got a dog to look for.
Well, I mean,
I'm hoping for good things.
He lost his mom a few weeks ago, so, and depending upon how good or bad his relationship was with his dad, I can kind of see where he would be more interested in
The
making
wiki
sure
says that they
his
didn't have
dog-
much of one. So
Yeah.
he's trying, though.
Yeah,
And I'm like, go, Dad, try.
yeah.
You gotta have the kid try. You got custody. There you go.
By default, I guess.
Yeah.
By default.
I'll definitely give this Lost a try for sure, because I just want to know what happens, what continues.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
want to
get
know
through
if there's
episode 4.
dinosaurs.
Gotta get through episode.
I want to know if it's just aliens, and that's just how they ended. Just aliens.
I doubt it's alien.
It's sci-fi. Or it's a military experiment. That's what I'm going with right now, and we'll see how it ends.
Yeah, I'd give it a try again. I think I watched like half of it during its original run, so.
I was digging it. I mean, like, yeah, it's just a cool show, and like, I don't know, feels like you said, like, you know, it might not be like on the very top tier of TV, but this feels also like it's a necessary thing, sort of like something on network TV that's weird and trying a lot of odd things, like
Especially stuff that's not really on like those kinds of like networks.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
and swinging for the fences, good or bad, like, so like, yeah, you know, gotta respect that.
There's time travel. There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, they really get into the weeds, like in Lost. It's
I love balls to the walls things that clearly like to have fun with itself. I hope that it turns out to just be like one of those things where it's like they clearly were just trying to have a good time and tell a really crazy story.
Yeah.
You're telling me Locke is like the best character, and I'm over here like he's already got oranges in his mouth and he's teaching backgammon. Like, there's not an issue in the world, and I can already tell by the orange smile. I was like, he's gonna be the guy that survives everything. He's the crazy guy on the island. We know what happens to crazy guys on islands. They somehow figure everything out. They've got skills that we don't know about yet. He's not afraid to murder anybody. His moral compass, gone with the plane crash. Maybe before. We'll see.
yeah.
Sweet.
I'll even say that there's you'll be introduced to more characters, and there are these 2 characters that fans kind of like universally hated, and I guess the writers realized that, and then the episode where something happens to them is an amazing episode. Like they're like, all right, you guys don't like this, well, we're going to end it in a kick-ass way, and they really did that.
Aw, for their fans.
It was also like, it was just a time waster. Like, they didn't need to introduce these 2 characters who, Nikki and Paolo, unnecessary people.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I think those were our final thoughts.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, sometimes, things come to you. So, I think with that, I think the majority is, I think it's pretty unanimous that all of us would, in fact, give Lost a go. So, and with that, we'll see you next week.